Hey everyone, I'm Johan, and this is Orson, and you're watching Go Ahead and Make Me.
Go ahead and make me.
So, it's been a while since the last episode. I think it was about 2 weeks before Christmas. Move it, Orson. And I said then that I would take a break, and I did. It's just that the break turned out to be a bit longer than I anticipated. Yeah, it had to do with just the end of the year blues, I suppose, or maybe start of the new year blues. I felt sort of depleted and not really inspired to do anything. Not such a miracle when you think about what kind of year 2020 was. Yeah, so I sort of lost my sewing mojo as well. I wasn't really inspired to do anything. So I thought, what can I do to, get into the sewing thing again? And I thought, you know what? Because I'm first and foremost a bear maker. Orson, you're taking up so much of the screen. Can you move a little bit? Just a little bit, please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, just the tail. What are you doing? Since I'm first and foremost a bear maker, like these type of bears, I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll just take my ugliest fake fur and try to make something out of that. And this is not only, well, I guess it's not super ugly, but it's so hard to work with because it's floppy, it slides, slips and slides. It's a nightmare to sew, and I've had it for years. And I thought, you know what? Last year was really bad, so symbolically, this is last year. This fabric was horrible, but we'll try to make something nice out of it, which is hopefully this year. So in the end, I did make a bear out of it. I managed. I designed a little bear. Oh, that's another thing. The fluff is everywhere. I designed a little bear, and he actually turned out to be really sweet. I mean, he's not a masterpiece, but yeah, I think he's such a sweet little guy, and hopefully he will be representative of this coming year, and we'll be sort of happy with the end result. Yeah, so that's the first thing I wanted to show you, but this episode is actually about hexagons and English paper piecing, so let's get started. English paper piecing with hexagons. So what is English paper piecing, you're asking? Well, you can probably watch this video or one of the other 10,000 videos on YouTube that explain what that is. And there are 10,000, I counted them. So you can watch those or watch mine, because mine will actually have a bit more variation in your options of how it actually works. Because the rules all seem to be very, very strict about paper piecing, exactly what you should and shouldn't do. And you know me, I'm a bit of a rebel. Well, so yeah, my rules might be a bit different, and actually there aren't even rules, they're just different methods of doing things. So what is a hexagon actually? A hexagon is this. This shape is called a hexagon. Now you can paper piece with all kinds of shapes, but for now we're just concentrating on the hexagons. This is quite a big one. There's different sizes, even smaller. This is a really small one, but I've seen people making things with hexagons even smaller than this. And that's the end goal is to end up with something like this. So, you can put all these together and you can make all kinds of things out of them. Usually people will be making quilts, because that seems to be the popular thing with hexagons, to just make quilts. So I thought of a few things that we could make besides quilts. And I think I came up with a few things that are interesting, and I'll show them to you, and you might be inspired to make some yourself. Of course, if you do want to make a quilt, nobody will stop you, and the end result is lovely. It will take you a while because it's work intensive, I must say, but it's a very nice kind of work intensive because, for one thing, you can sit down and watch your favorite show and just be doing these hexagons, either creating them or sewing them. Yeah, while you're doing something else, listening to your favorite podcast or whatever. It's a pleasant way of spending some time. And in fact, I even sometimes sit in the garden and just work with these things, because it's also very portable, of course. You don't need an awful lot of material to take with you. Like for instance, if you're going on a plane ride, well, not these days I suppose, not very likely, but if you are, for instance, or a train ride, yeah, you just take a few things in your bag and you just go, you know, and paper piece these things. Of course, this is an excellent way to get rid of some fabric leftovers that you might have, you know, your scraps. Because the end results doesn't, you know, whatever you combine, it will usually look nice anyway, because the shapes of the hexagon will automatically make your pattern interesting. Now you can make it extra interesting, for instance, like this, by fussy cutting a little bear like on this pattern, but it doesn't have to be a certain pattern. It can just, they can even be blanks or just fabrics like this, or you can combine them. I'll just show you how to make the first hexagon of your fabric. Now take a piece that's about that size, or even smaller, as long as you know that there's going to be at least like a centimeter of margin. Then cut around the shape. It doesn't have to be precise, because these edges are not going to be visible in the end anyway, so you don't have to be too precise with this. I must say that these scissors are horrible. The reason for that is that my good pair, I actually destroyed them accidentally. So I had to buy a new pair, and then I went to buy a new pair, and they only had relatively cheap ones. So I'm stuck with this for now. I mean, it does the job, but I'm not happy with it. So like that. Now there are two ways you can attach the fabric to the paper. One of them is using a glue stick, fabric glue stick, not any glue stick, because the normal glue sticks, they have the glue is just too sticky, and you would ruin both your fabric and the paper template. So what you do is you put some glue at the edge of one side, and the reason you don't glue the entire thing, and you fold it over like that, the reason you don't glue towards the edge of the paper is that later on you'll be putting your needle through it, and if there's like dried glue there, it's going to be a lot harder to get your needle through. So you just keep it on the edge like so, and fold it over. And again. No, that's actually a bit too much glue. Fold it over again, like so. Etc. So then you will end up with something like this, ready to sew. Another method is to attach the fabric to the paper template by using masking tape, little strips of masking tape. It's the kind of tape that you use if you were to paint something and you wanted to get a neat edge. The tape's made of paper, so it's very easy to remove it once you're done. And it's basically the same technique as with the glue, except that now you use the strips to attach the fabric, like so. It works the same. It's just a question of preference, really. And then the traditional way, before people invented household glue, the traditional way is to baste the fabric to the paper by sewing the fabric to the paper. But that seems, to me, that seems like a lot of extra work, because then of course after you've attached the fabric to the paper you have to remove that stitch again, and so you're basically sewing the whole thing twice. So that seems a bit too much for my taste. I know it's the traditional way to do it, but it's just not the way that I do it. I wouldn't say I'm lazy, but if there's a handy shortcut, then I will use it. So this is what it looks like with the masking tape, which is basically the same. You know, it's the same result, different method, that's all. Alright, so now we're at the point where we actually want to attach these two together by sewing them together. And first I'm going to show you the traditional way of doing this. Most people will use it that way. I'm not a big fan of it, but I'll show you how to do it. Okay, so first the traditional way of sewing two pieces together. Yeah, you line them up so that all corners match perfectly. And then you take your needle and thread. Some people don't put a knot in the end, but I do. It's again a question of preference. And instead of starting at the very end or corner, I like to start a little bit before that, so that the knot doesn't actually end up in the corner and it might bunch up. So what you're trying to do is put your needle through both layers at the same time with just the one stitch. And so it's not super easy, as I'm demonstrating, because I'm not very good at it. So I don't know if you can see this. So the needle's through both fabrics, but not through the paper. That's the crucial thing, of course. Yeah, pull it through. And then, because we do want to go and cover this little area, of course, we first go to the corner. The space between your stitches, yeah, I like to take about 2 millimeters to 3 millimeters. Another thing is with traditional paper piecing like this, is that you keep starting from the same side. So as you can see, I've been starting from the back, going forward. So I don't go through here first and then go back again. No, I keep going from the same side. So that is the traditional way of sewing these shapes together. And of course, there's nothing wrong with it. It's tried and tested method. It's just that I think there is an easier way. And I'll show you how. Now, there might be people watching who think, after seeing my method that I will show you in a second, people who will think, that's not how you do that. That's not how you're supposed to do that. And yeah, you're probably right. If you feel the need to write to me about that you're outraged or that I'm doing it wrong, go for it. I'm willing to listen to everyone, but I do not think that because it's always done that way is a good reason not to change something or to try something new. So yeah, with that said, let's try my method. Now, I came up with this method not because I thought I would be a rebel and not follow the rules, but because I'm mostly self-taught with most of the things that I make, with sewing and making the bears and everything. I started from scratch without learning from anyone, so I just figured things out by myself. And so the first time I did this, I had some of these hexagons. I saw them used once and I thought, oh, that's fun. No idea how to actually do it. So I just figured it out by myself. And the way I did it, and it's actually a variation on the traditional way, but it's sort of cheating, I suppose. Purists might say, oh, this is not how you do it because of this or that. But I found no actual valid reason not to do it like this. And this is how I do it. I stick it in just one of the hexagons, not both at the same time like in the traditional manner. So just the one. Pull it through. Then, this is blasphemy, I insert it at the same point, but on the other hexagon. Like so. And then pull it. And then I repeat it. So I actually broke down the traditional stitch into 2 stitches, which might sound like it's a lot more work, but it isn't. It's actually faster because you don't have to be so super precise as with the traditional stitch. And so you can do it a lot faster. You know, you can actually build some speed at some point. And as I said, I have not found any reason to not do it this way. I have seen because I've tried both methods, and I have seen no difference in the end results whatsoever. Yeah, it's not that the stitches are more visible, or that the fabric would bunch up, or you would get irregularities or whatever. It's the effect, to me at least, is the exact same. And I will show you a close-up of some work that I did with this naughty method, and you will not see a single stitch visible from the surface that you're actually looking at. Yeah, and I find this a lot more enjoyable than the traditional way. But yeah, you figure out for yourself which makes you happier, which is more logical for you, which is handier for you. But I just wanted to show you this because this is how I do it and have always done it, even though I have tried the traditional way. And yeah, I'll just show you right now on the other side. Let's get into focus. See, it's perfectly attached. You don't see the stitches, and I actually used a green thread on purpose, so that for the purpose of this demonstration, so that it's a bit more visible. Because normally, of course, I would use pink thread and would even be less visible. So yeah, so that's how I do it. So I promised you some ways of using the hexagons besides making a quilt, even though a quilt is still a lot of fun. For instance, this piece is probably going to become a baby blanket. You know, it will be a smaller quilt than the normal size, but yeah, look, I mean, just look at this pattern, these different patterns, they're so cute. Another thing you could make, which I made, is a pillow slip. See this in colors that might suit your interior design, whatever. Also fantastic as a gift, of course. And even less traditional than that, what I made are these covers for diaries and notebooks. For instance, here, this one has the tiniest little hexagons on them and my name, and it's a diary. It's actually a diary for me writing down the calories that I'm eating per day, because I overdid it a little bit in the COVID year and the Christmas period. So it's time to lose weight again, and to me, counting calories is the best way to lose weight. Here's another notebook that I made with slightly bigger hexagons, very colorful. Again, this is a really nice thing as a gift for someone. I mean, you will see how much people will appreciate handmade gifts. You can buy something lovely in a shop for someone, but a handmade gift, yeah, they'll appreciate that a lot more. And there's an even larger one that I made, and this one is, God, the fluff from that awful material is absolutely everywhere. This one is, as you can see, a larger version of a notebook. But what's also special about it is that I only used denim as the hexagons, and then on top of the hexagons as decoration, I embroidered all these wooden laser cut flowers. There's something of a new thing. You can, the last 2-3 years or so, you see them in all kinds of shapes. You know, you can buy a packet of different shaped flowers or other items. And I thought it'd be cool to embroider them on top of the hexagons with colorful embroidery floss, which makes it totally unique. And again, I would love this as a gift, and so I gave it to myself. So yeah, those are just a few things of examples of what you can do with the hexies. And in fact, there's a lot more that I could show you. That's why this is just part 1, and I'm going to do a part 2 and show you a few more things that you can do with hexagons. I hope to see you then. So until next time, and if you like this video, give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And thanks for watching. See ya.